Okay, hi, my name is Jamie Kramer, and I'm going to be doing basic arithmetic on page 87. The first problem is 13D. So it has two fractions and it wants us to add them together. So 2/3 plus 1/6. Well, we can't just add across with fractions because these have an unlike denominator. So we have to make these the same. So how are we going to do this? Well, 3 actually goes into 6 2 times, and that would make them both have the same denominator of 6. So 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 2 is 4. And bring over the 1/6. So now that we have the denominator the same, we can add. So 4 plus 1 is 5. And we do not add the denominator, we just bring it over. So the correct answer is 5/6. Okay, moving on to problem 13E. It's going to have us multiply. So 2/3 multiplied by 1/4. This is fairly easy because you can just multiply straight across. So 2 times 1 is 2. And 3 times 4 is 12. This is not finished because this is not in its simplest form. So actually both of these are divisible by 2. So we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So our final answer is 1/6. Next, we're going to do problem 13G, and it's 5/8 minus 1/4. So again, we can't just subtract, we have to find a common denominator. So actually 4 is able to go into 8 if we multiply by 2. And whatever we do to the bottom, we must also do to the top. So first let's rewrite our first fraction, 5/8 minus, then 1 times 2 is 2, over 4 times 2, which gives us 8. So now we can subtract these. 5 minus 2 is 3, and bring the 8 over. We do not subtract the denominator. So the correct answer is 3/8. So 15A wants us to take this decimal, 3.5, and turn it into a fraction. So I am a baker, and so I know that 3.5 would be like 3.5 cups. But let's figure out how to solve this mathematically. So we're going to turn this into a fraction, and by doing that we're going to put it over 1. This 5 is in the tenths place, so we can multiply this by 10 over 10. So essentially, by multiplying by 10 over 10, that's going to move this decimal place over. So 3.5 times 10 is 35, and 1 times 10 is 10. So now this is not finished because it's not simplified. So if we divide this by 5, and we need to divide this by 5 because they're both divisible by 5. So 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. This is also not simplified enough because this is an improper fraction. You can't have the numerator a bigger number than the denominator. So actually how we do this is, how many times does 2 go into 7? It goes into 7 3 times, so that's going to be our big number. So when it goes into it 3 times, that equals 6, meaning there's 1 left over to equal 7. So here's the 1 that's left over, and you bring the denominator and carry that over. So 3 1/2. So looking at this, 3 1/2 is the same as 3.5 as a decimal. Okay, next we're going to take 0.5 0.05, and it wants us to turn that into a fraction. So again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this over 1 to make it a fraction. This 5 is in the hundredths place, so we're going to multiply by 100. So then that'll move this decimal place over. So 0.05 times 100 is 5. And then 1 times 100 is 100. To simplify this, each of these are divisible by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 100 divided by 5 is 20. So 1 over 20 is the correct answer. Okay. Now it's going to do the opposite way. So it wants us to take 103 over 50, and it wants us to make that into a decimal. So there's no easy shortcut. The best thing you can do is to just actually multiply it out. So we're going to take 103 divided by 50. 50 doesn't go into 1, 50 doesn't go into 10, 50 goes into 103. It goes into 103 2 times, which gives us 100. It's going to give us a remainder of 3. So we're going to have to add a decimal point. I'm going to bring the 0 down. 50 does not go into 30, so we have to add another 0. Bring that down. 50 does go into 300. It goes into 300 6 times. So if you subtract that, you get 0. So 103 divided by 50 as a decimal is 2.06. Okay. Next, we're going to start with doing scientific notation. So there's a formula that works really well for this. So let's write this out here. So a to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n. So if you have two numbers that are the same, so like we have down here 10 and 10, you can take that top number and take m plus n when you're multiplying. So let's plug those numbers in. So here we go. We've got, so we would take the same number, which is 10, and you're going to take m plus n. So our m is 4, plus our n, which is 7. And then if we do that, that's going to equal 10 to the 11, because 4 plus 7 is 11. So 10 to the 11th power is the correct answer. Next, it wants us to divide. So there's also a formula for this, which is a to the m over a to the n equals a m minus n. Okay, so again, we have two tens, so those are the same, so we can use this formula. So we would carry the 10, and then it says we take m minus n. So the m is up here on top, so it'd be 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2. So our final answer, because 6 minus 2 is 4, is 10 to the 4th power. Next is problem E, which is similar, but it tries to throw you off because it throws a negative in there. But it's still going to be the same formula as above. So since these two numbers are the same, we can put the 10 down. And it's m minus n, so the m is the top number. So 12 minus negative 4. So if you remember, when there's a negative, it's going to become a positive. So 12 plus 4 is going to be 16. Or 12 minus negative 4 becomes 16. So 10 to the 16th power is the correct answer. And lastly, we have letter G on problem 19, and that is 10 to the 4th power plus 10 to the 2nd. When you're adding, there is no easy way to solve this like there was with multiplying and dividing. So we actually have to just write this all out. So 10 to the 4th, so if we write it all out, it's 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. And then we have 10 to the 2nd power, so 10 times 10. So 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 gives you 10,000, and if you need a calculator, you can use that. And then 10 times 10 is 100. So when you add those together, you get 10,100, and that's the correct answer for that. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you're able to learn something about basic arithmetic.